working? Okay, I hope this is working. Okay. Alrighty. Is that working? Let's see here. Let's see here. Test of 1, 2, 3. Okay, I guess that's about as good as it's gonna get. See, there's the camera right over there. Okay. Still working here. All right. Well, howdy there, pipe pals and gals. Always welcome by Padre with you with another video. Yeah, okay. So I gotta focus on the camera right over there. And this is my new mic here, my SM7B. Yes, give me that radio broadcaster voice. There we go. Yes. Okay, fans. Okay, so Father Francis, Holy Smoking Pipe Padre, coming back at you. After being a little bit AWOL for, maybe about a month, I apologize. Hold on a second, let me get this going. Okay. Still working on that wicked, or warped, I should say, Saint Espresso. There we go. Yeah, smoking my little Dunhill squash tomato, which I love. So here we are. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. In the back there, I see you. Okay, so Holy Smoking Pipe Padre. Yeah, I guess my last video, and I apologize, I didn't even make any comments or respond to that video. And that's about a month ago. And part of the problem is this new microphone, Mr. Microphone. Yes. I have been bitten by the podcast bug. And so I wanted to, I've always wanted to get one of these really high-end, I guess even, well, I guess some people would say, well, that's not really a high-end microphone. It's kind of a standard broadcast microphone, to be sure, the SM7B, very famous microphone. It's been around since the 60s, I guess, maybe even the 50s. It's sort of like Volkswagens and KitchenAid mixers. You know, some things just, they find their style, you know, and they hardly ever change. So this is one of those iconic products that has been around for almost as long as I have. And yeah, it's like those KitchenAid mixers. They haven't changed. Or the Le Creuset. I don't know if that's pronouncing it correctly, but anyway, those cooking enamel, iron cooking enamel pots. I mean, you find them probably, they've been buried in the fields of France, and the people just go back out there and dig them up and polish them up, and they're good to go again. So just some things just never really, you can't really improve on perfection, I guess they say. So this is one of those things. And so like I said, I've been bitten by the podcast bug. Somebody kind of, I wouldn't say they challenged me to start podcasting, but they kind of said they were interested in doing a podcast with me. And I said, well, I guess we got to get some microphones in here. So did that. But so when I first got this microphone, probably there's some echo in here because I'm talking too loud. But when I got this microphone, I tried to make a video. I tried to make several videos, believe it or not. And it just, hold on a second, I'm gonna kind of get it down just a little bit more there. Tried to make a few videos with this microphone, and it just, I couldn't get it to work. I tried to use it on my iPhone. Apparently there are some connections and adapters and dongles and switches and things that you can do to get the mic to work with an iPhone. And I think actually 2 weeks ago, I was just farting around with it, and it seemed to work. The problem is that there's still some microphones on the iOS device that sometimes pick up, and you're not sure, well, is it picking up from the mic, the new mic, the Shure mic, or is it picking up just from the built-in audio mic on the iPad or the iPhone? So and plus then we, in addition to that, we've had people coming. We had a missionary, I think, came, and then we had some unexpected visitors last week, and just one thing after another, and plus there's lots of things we're doing in the church, and we're putting in new windows, and we're gonna try to fix our furnace. Well, maybe it's not the furnace so much, but we have some problems underneath the church. And summer is very quickly fading. Last Friday, almost a week ago, we were blessed with a beautiful little rainstorm that kind of went through. Keep inhaling all these little no-see-ums, these little bugs. They bug me. They really bug me. And so that just really cooled everything down, but the temperatures, at least up here at the lake, just seem to not have gone really. For about, I'd say 10 days, it got up there in the 80s and high 80s, I guess. Made things a little uncomfortable. We don't have air conditioning in here. And so, but it cooled everything down really nice. And the temperatures have just been absolutely spectacularly, deliciously gorgeous. I mean, oh my gosh, wow. So anyway, I know that I did upload a video in July, and I started, I think I uploaded it, and I was gonna, and in fact, I got this microphone, and I said, well, I'll do my regular podcast, just, using the old iPhone, and just let it go. But my intent was to get back here a couple of days later with the new SM7B Shure microphone and try it out and impress you all with my radio sounding voice. Yeah, a little homage to the late great Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. See, microphones are important, folks. They really are. So if some of you are out there kind of rolling your eyes and going, oh brother, there he goes again, being silly, being a little kid again. Well, you're absolutely right. I sure am. I'm noticing a spider up there in the crevices of the ceiling. Oh well. But anyway, so so I'm here drinking this is not malt liquor. It's called Liquid Death. Liquid Death. Why is it called Liquid Death? Because it kills your thirst. It's nothing but sparkling water. Sparkling water. Maybe you even heard that swallow. I don't know. So anyway, so that's why, okay, so I was able to, was it last week? It's been over a week now. Golly, time is just flying by. So I made the first podcast for my other YouTube channel, my little my homily channel, with a guest. And, like I said, I've been trying, in fact, I've been trying for the last 2-3 weeks now, actually 4 weeks, to get this thing working. And I just couldn't do it. It was just like, well, every time I tried to hook it up, it just didn't work. And then this person came and they said, hey, are we going to do that podcast or not? And I said, yeah, well, okay. I said, I got all the equipment. I just haven't quite figured out how to hook it up. And they said, well, I'm going to come up and we can try it. And I said, well, okay. So I'm like going, oh gosh, now I got to figure out how to actually hook it all up. And it just was strange because for some reason I just kind of threw the thing together at the last minute and it started working. And I don't know why. Now the other person's microphone didn't quite work halfway through, I pressed a button, and all of a sudden, there they are. You know, it's like I could hear them in the room, but I wasn't really hearing them, you know, on their mic. So I think they were talking, and they were being picked up by this mic. And then finally, I just was sitting there, and I was listening to them talk, and I pressed a button, and oh, there they are. So anyway, so I don't know. Sometimes I love technology, as most of you know. It's an avocation for me, and I love it. But sometimes, you know, I just get frustrated. You know, I mean, I think we all do. The phone all of a sudden starts launching an app, and you're not aware that you pressed the app button or the icon on your phone or whatever, your tablet, and you're off to the races. Who was it? Somebody said that they were accidentally recording a conversation. And they said, oh, I've been recording this conversation. I said, oh, okay, well, what happened? I don't know, but it just started recording. Okay, well, those things happen, I guess. And FBI, if you're listening, you know, so, you know, I don't know if you want to raid this place or not. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you're raiding Mar-a-Lago, I guess you're kind of coming here next, I'm assuming. But we'll see. We'll just see. Because I do have a great Make America Great Again hat. I really do. And I think I have a 1776 with a Betsy Ross flag. So they're probably coming tomorrow. Maybe there'll even be a 2 a.m. raid on my house. Because, you know, again, I do have a great Make America Great Again hat. So and it's red too. It's a red hat. Yeah. That's pretty dangerous stuff, folks. Pretty dangerous stuff. So, anyways, I was saying about my avocation in technology and YouTube channels and all sorts of things and podcasts. Did you see the flames on that thing? Oh my goodness. Man. Okay. Gotta say, it's pretty tasty. That is pretty tasty. So I've been wanting to get on here and talk about all sorts of things. Kind of wanted to talk about them transgenders, or those trans-tenders. I don't know what they are. And all the craziness that's going on with that. You know, folks, I'll just say this. Maybe I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth, maybe my next video. That's good. Okay. But think about it. You're going to let a 5 or 7-year-old literally make decisions that are going to affect them until the day they die. We don't let 5 and 7-year-olds, we don't let them drive. Of course, who knows? We don't let them vote, because that'll mess up our lives. You don't let them buy a gun, for crying out loud, right? Oh, perish the thought that they can learn how to defend themselves, but oh no, you can't do that. We don't let them do lots of things. We don't let them buy alcohol. When was the last time you saw a 5-year-old going to a liquor store and say, "Yeah, give me a 5th of Jack over there. Give me some Gentleman Jack. And I want to get a 6-pack of malt liquor." Sure. We don't let them do these kinds of things. Why? Because we recognize that these are potentially things that are going to hurt them. And yet, this crazy mentality of letting a kid choose to irrevocably mess up their hormones and get transgendered surgery when they're like 16 years old. Man, I barely got my driver's license or my learner's permit when I was 16 years old. So anyway, I just think this is absolutely insanity. Insanity. Yeah. Okay, also wanted to, we're transitioning here. Here we are, we're going to transition here. Talking about transgenders, we're going to transition to talking about, excuse me, I just had dinner. Oh my goodness. I want to thank Jimmy. Jimmy, you know who you are. You called and we talked on the phone for a little while ago, about a week ago. It was nice talking to you, nice meeting you. And Jimmy asked me to make a decision. I did look up, I went to the Dunhill site, Jimmy, all I can tell you is, but I didn't have those numbers. I forgot the numbers. I think I lost the numbers you gave me. But if it helps, I'll just say, yes, address Dunhill, but a billiard. I think it's called a billiard, a straight stem, you know. So if you're wondering what kind of model or whatever, and something with a big bowl, that would be great. But again, I'm not asking you for anything. You just told me to give you a heads up on what my preferences would be, and that's the best I can do right now, okay? So, but more importantly, it was really nice talking with you, and I'm really, you know, I'm rooting, I'm betting on you. I'm betting on you. You're doing great, so keep up the good work. And thanks for all the nice things, you know. I'm surprised that a few of you people out there kind of respond in a positive way, and that's great. I appreciate that. Here's the reason for getting on here tonight. One, I wanted to try out the new microphone, and but I just saw. I have a friend. Well, he's a YouTube friend. Okay, some of you are YouTube friends, and some of you I've met in person in life. But this is a guy that I really have a techie connection with. And I gotta say, of all the YouTubers, he is probably, I don't know how he does it, but he is one of the nicest people you'd ever really want to meet. I mean, he will answer you back. If you make now I don't know if you make a snarky comment or a smart ass comment, you know, I don't know, he might be kind of like me. I mean, some people are surprised that I say some kind of off-color things to people when they're being snots, okay? When you're being a jerk, I'll reflect that back to you. Okay, well, we'll just be honest. Now, I mean, if you have a legitimate question or you have a legitimate gripe or disagreement, and you, in a respectful way, say, well, I disagree with you because of this or that, I'll probably read it and maybe I'll try to make an objective comment. But if you just, you know, do the ad hominem attack and you're an ass and you're a jerk and you're this or you're that, 9 times out of 10, I won't even recognize it and I'll just let it go. It's like, hey, you have a right to voice your opinion. I have a right not to acknowledge your opinion too. Is that a cool thing? I like that. But this guy, his name is Matthew O'Brien. I'm not doxing him. You know, he has his name on his YouTube channel, and he lives in Omaha, and he's a guy who's a filmographer. He has a production company called Midland Pictures, and he just loves the craft of filmmaking. And every now and then, you know, I've learned an awful lot about Final Cut Pro. He has taught me some really cool things that help speed up my editing and also make things a little more easier, as well as being a little more creative, you know, which I really like. And I would probably rate myself about an intermediate Final Cut Pro editor at this point in my life, but I've been doing it for like, what, 12 years? 12, 14 years now. And that's not any great shakes. That doesn't really mean anything to anybody really. But I know my way around a piece of software that it has done a lot of, it's been a real avocation for me to make these kinds of videos. But anyway, every now and then Matthew gets very, very introspective. And every now and then it kind of resonates where I'm at in my life, in my vocation, even as a padre. Now, I'm not a filmmaker. I mean, I'm not a professional filmmaker, pardon me. I don't know about you, but up here we have these little no-see-ums, and I just got back from a walk not too long ago, and it's inevitable that with my big rubbery face and cheeks, I inhale little bugs and I'm picking them out hours later. It's kind of distressing, but that's the life. But anyway, so one video, this was about maybe a year or two ago, he was just talking about the direction of his channel and where things are going. And I thought that was a very interesting thing, because every now and then you get to a point in your creative life where you kind of say, well, maybe it's time I kind of take another tack. I kind of go a different route, kind of do something a little different, kind of make things a little bit more interesting. You know, see, like, can I do this? Yeah, okay, well, that's probably not the best angle, but oh well, it's different. So anyway, But tonight, this afternoon, I just happened to find a new Matthew O'Brien video, and he was talking about does he regret going to film school? And you know, you can look it up if you want to watch it, if you're interested in filmmaking and Final Cut Pro and iPad products and Apple products and all this stuff. You know, you might find it interesting. But you know, he said he spent $90,000. Oh. $90,000 to go to Florida film school. And he was saying, do I regret that decision? And that was like 14 years ago. And yes, he's still paying off the $90,000. Okay, and again, it was one of these kind of like I reached out and said, Matthew, I really like your more intimate, candid, fireside, heart-to-heart videos, because it really kind of, I resonate with those. I really do. And I started thinking about that. Well, if I was going to make a video about, do I regret going to seminary? You know, what would I say about that topic? Do I regret going to seminary? Now, to be sure, the whole impetus to do whatever it is you do in life, a lot of it does have a lot to do with your personal passion. You know, what is it that really drives you in your life? And so, again, being a filmmaker and being a priest are obviously they're different things, obviously. But I think they both require dedication and passion and some intestinal fortitude, because, yeah, if you're going to be a filmmaker or a screenwriter, you know, you're going to have to take a lot of criticism because you're putting yourself out there. You're putting out a product, and some people are going to say, man, that's great. Man, that was an awesome, you know, film, or an awesome script or story, or, you know, or some people are going to say, what were you thinking? That is the most inane piece of garbage I've ever read. I'm not going to waste my time making a film out of that, or whatever it is. Or where did you learn? Where did you go to film school? You know, meaning like, boy, buddy, you sure didn't learn anything in film school if you went there. No, I'm not saying that about Matthew O'Brien. No, he makes great videos, and so that's why I watch him. He has really great content. But again, trying to compare and contrast going to film school where Matthew went with his vocational choice in life, and mine going to seminary. And the question that he was trying to answer was, well, do I regret the fact that I went to film school? Because now I'm carrying around all this debt. And so he was, you know, kind of like I said, he was doing this this vlog, just talking about the pros and the cons of going to film school. And, you know, so anyway, yeah, he regrets the debt. All of us would, you know, that's a lot of debt to carry in a person's life. But the experiences, the professional relationships that he forged going through film school and post film school, he says that no, there were a lot of good things that I was able to learn and pick up and experience going through film school. So he says those experiences he wouldn't trade for anything. Okay. So if let me just, let's see, can I, sorry about the camera angle. It's just, I'm using my iPad. This is the first time I've ever used an iPad for my Holy Smoking Pipe Padre channel. So, and it's the first time I used a professional microphone, the SM7B from Shure. Yeah, I'm sure. I am sure. So anyway, getting back to comparing and contrasting his choice to go to film school and my choice to go to seminary. So I'll just focus for the rest of the video, for the most part, just some of my, the pros and cons of that. So the pros. Yeah, well, okay. I'm thinking pros of going to seminary. I believe that even negative experiences can be a positive. I know that might sound a little odd to say it that way, or maybe an oxymoron to say it that way. But again, you can certainly learn from difficult experiences, sad experiences, challenging, depressing experiences, just like being a recovering alcoholic. I'm grateful that I was able to go through something like this and by the grace of God, come out on the other side and come out alive and a stronger and a better person. Okay. I do regret the times I hurt people's feelings and wasn't there for them and just being a lazy drunk. I'm ashamed of that. I regret those things. Yeah. But the experience of learning to get over a very debilitating illness or disease or sickness and realize that, yes, you can be triumphant over that with God's grace. Yes, that's a great experience to have. And all the little components that go into making that sobriety on a day-to-day basis, yeah, those are all positive things. All I can tell you is that I have to remember this, and it's true. I know a lot of people will say this in recovery. My worst day in recovery is better than my best day in drinking, and that's an absolute truth, folks. But sometimes you kind of have to. Yeah, there are days that are very, very challenging. Not for the most part. I have all the tools and I have all the resources to do this job of being, again, I don't look at it as being a job. Being a priest is far more than being a job. It is a vocation. It absolutely is a vocation. It's sort of like being a Marine, okay? Okay, had to get that out of my system. It's more than a job, okay? It's not like a 9 to 5, it's not like that at all, okay? So going to seminary, the problem is that all of us, whether we go to seminary or we're preparing for the sacrament of holy matrimony, or we're preparing to maybe be a godparent for some little baby, or maybe be a confirmation sponsor, or just being a good Christian Catholic friend that's maybe helping somebody go through a difficult time, we're all hopefully growing. What we say, growing in the grace of the Lord, okay? And sometimes, we all stumble, we all fall short, but the thing is that it's not just a hobby. Christianity is not a hobby. It's not a spectator sport. It's a way of life. It just is, and that's why. And I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but that's why I've always been a little bit concerned about where the church or the church leadership is trying to lead the church. It seems like it's trying to lead the church away from the traditional, the Orthodox Christian teachings. They're trying to say, well, those teachings don't work anymore. We need to either get rid of them or ignore them, and then we'll be fine. Embrace the new woke agenda, and we'll be great. It'll all be wonderful. Well, it doesn't work that way. Even the Lord Jesus in his ministry came across opposition from all sorts of different peoples, whether it was the Pharisees or people that rejected him, or people that did not like his teaching. There were some people that said, hey, in fact, one of the stories that comes to mind readily is where there's this demoniac guy, and he's a scary character. Talk about your superhero, spooky, sci-fi type movies. If Gary's out there, Gary loves the Marvel universe and the DC universe and all the, but this generic guy, the Genesarene, I guess he was, demoniac guy, he was they could do a real, sci-fi Marvel type story about this guy, and really just because he was a terrifying person. And he kind of like a precursor to Thanos, Anyway, but the thing is that Jesus heals him, and so the demons that are in this guy cry out, say, send us into the swine, send us into the swine. And these Jewish people who are selling swine, interesting, the demons go in the swine run over the cliff into the sea, and they're destroyed, and basically that's bad revenue. That's bad business, you know? And so they come to Jesus and is saying, you know, and this guy now is the crazy monster guy, demoniac guy. He's in a sound mind. He's like, one minute he's this crazy, out of his mind guy character, and the next minute he's as sound as you and I are. It's like, and everybody's just like, they're filled with fear because they've never seen anything like this. And so the business people, do they come and pat Jesus on the back and say, oh, thank you, Lord, for taking care of this guy, and thank you for restoring him to sanity, and now he's a part of the community, and boy, this was great. They don't like it. This Jesus guy is bad for business. And they basically say, please leave, go away. We don't want you here. So, radio. Anyway, so I don't know what's going on with the hierarchy, but they it's like, and every day I hear stories where, you know, if you're just a basic, average Catholic person that wants to say the rosary and live a Catholic life, well, you're bad. You're really bad. You're the baddies. Are we the baddies? You know, it's like, now if you're anybody that's just trying to hold on to your Orthodox Catholic traditional faith, you're the baddie. Yeah, you're a baddie. And it's just, I don't know where it's going, folks. But the reason why I say that is because before I went to seminary, I was sharing this with some people the other day, that I had like 2 years of personal formation. See, I was not just kind of waiting. You know, I wasn't a skull full of mush, you know, just waiting to be filled with tell me what to think. But some good Catholic people gave me some wonderful Archbishop Fulton Sheen audio tapes. And this is back in the day when we had things called cassette players. And so I'd listen to those as I was either going to school or going to, well, I was a teacher, and so I lived about 20 miles away from the school I taught at. And then, so there would be a 20-minute drive there and 20-minute drive back. And depending upon, you know, if I was going to do some shopping or go visit somebody, I just listened to these tapes. And there was like maybe 60 or 70 of them, and they're all hour-long tapes. So over the course of 2 years before I even went to seminary, I was already kind of properly formed in what it meant to be an authentic Catholic. And so, you know, when I got there, everybody kind of like, well, where did this guy come from? He's like a throwback. He's like a, you know, they just thought I was strange because I would be talking about, you know, traditional Catholic things. And they would say, well, we don't talk like that anymore. And I go, really? Why? Well, we changed. I go, well, you changed, but why? And there was just no reason for the change. It was like, okay, fine. Tell me where the scriptures validate this change, this necessary change. Tell me where it's wrong to still believe in these other traditional Orthodox Catholic Christian beliefs. When did they change? Who had the authority to change them? Hello. And so seminary was a very painful time. In fact, it's where I kind of learned how to drink alcoholically. I mean, I can't necessarily blame the seminary for my alcoholism, but it did contribute to it. It did contribute to it. I wonder if I should tell that one little story. My first, I guess like my first night there. And I grew up as a Southern Baptist pretty much, / Baptist / you know, non-denominational, you know, non-practicing Christian person for most of my life. And then I became 16 and I had a conversion experience. And I did that for a number of years. And then about when I was in my early 20s, I started going to college, and I kind of put my Christian faith on hold for a while. Never denied my Christian faith, but I wasn't living it. That was for sure. So anyway, by the time I came back around and I started investigating the Catholic Church and I became a Catholic, and by the time I arrived in seminary, I was like in my I just had turned 30. Yeah, I just had turned 30. So anyway, long story short, my first night in seminary, I'll never forget, we had a little soiree, a little dinner, formal dinner, semi-formal dinner, I should say. And so, but you know, when you're starting off on these things, you get caught up in like the social part of it, the community part of it, you know. And so a lot of the younger first year guys were kind of like tasked to be hosts for the dinner, and we had all these priests and dignitary types coming in, and so you know, so they say, well, yeah, you got to get your black slacks on and a white shirt and a black tie. And I went, oh, okay, I can do that. So they said, have you ever made drinks before? And I'm like going, no. And they said, there's really nothing to it. Just they'll tell you what they want. You just pour them what they want, and you'll be fine. I'm like, well, okay, I really don't know how to make mixed drinks, but I didn't even know what scotch and gin. I didn't even know the difference of that stuff. So anyway, long story short, I'm standing there, and so a guy would come up and go, I want a beer. Okay, I like a glass of red wine. Okay, great. Couldn't do wrong with that. It was pretty simple, that stuff. But then they come up with their, well, I want a scotch and soda, you know, or I want a scotch on the rocks, or I want a scotch neat, you know. We're like, oh, well, what is that? So anyway, so this one guy comes up, and he's all Mr. Urbane, and you know, he's Mr. He was actually a priest, but he was a psychologist, and he was very, like I said, very urbane and very witty, and at least he thought himself was. So anyway, he says, scotch on the rocks. And I'm like, yeah, okay, which one of these is scotch? I guess that's the scotch. Okay, so I take the tumbler and I drag it through the bucket of ice and fill it all the way up. And I think I always heard the thing about like 2 fingers. So I poured the scotch, you know, and it came up to 2 fingers. And I poured the rest of the water. Gave it to him, and he took a sip, and he spit it out. And he got really indignant. He goes, who taught you how to make a scotch in water? And I'm like, I'm just the new kid in town, literally. I'm the new kid in town. Just got there that afternoon, and here I am serving alcoholic drinks that I don't even drink. And he goes, we're going to do this right. We're going to do it by the numbers. Now I'm going to tell you how to make a scotch in water, proper scotch in water. I went, okay, great. I want to learn. I want to learn everything, right? So I he goes, now get a tumbler, fresh one. And I go, okay, here you go. He goes, now get the ice. And I did it, and he goes, no, way too much ice. Shake some of that out. So I'm shaking it out, maybe like 2 cubes left. Instead of it being full up, you know, just 2 cubes. Okay. So he goes, now, get the scotch bottle and you keep pouring until I say stop. Now, my understanding at the time was I made a mistake. I put way too much scotch in there, right? Because I did 2 fingers. So I'm getting, you know, I'm starting to pour it, and it's kind of starting to get near that little 2-finger thing. I think he's going to say, okay, that's enough. I even kind of backed off when I saw it kind of was like right at that 2 fingers, maybe going. He goes, no, keep going. I'm going, oh, keep going, okay. And the thing gets, literally, it gets almost up to the rim, and he goes, stop. And now for the crucial moment, the water. He goes, now be very, very careful. I'm like, okay. You know, my hands are shaking. Like the balance of the free world is hanging on this moment. So I take that water, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to make sure I get enough water in there, because, you know, there's not much room for it, but I guess, you know, and he says, slowly now, very slowly. And I'm just barely tipping this thing. And finally, literally, it drops, and it splashes into the tumbler of the scotch. And the guy goes, stop. He goes, give it to me. And he takes it in both hands, and he goes, perfect. True story. So, am I saying that alcohol was kind of worshipped in my seminary? Yeah, possibly. Possibly. So anyway, so I had that experience, and then now most of the faculty were not hostile towards the way I saw things, or they, you know, the kind of person that I turned out to be. I mean, I was more formed in the 2 years that I was listening to those tapes than I ever got formed in the seminary. And I kind of wonder, and I've heard this said before, it's more of a hypothesis, but maybe they make it so repugnant and distasteful for the most part that if you're going to quit, you're going to quit in those first 5 years. Kind of like maybe, you know, again, some of the people might take umbrage at this, especially if you're really a Navy SEAL. But it's better to quit in the first few weeks of boot camp than it is, you know, when you're out there in the thick of the jungle, right? And maybe there is some modicum of truth to that. They're trying to test your mettle. They're trying to see if you're going to have what it takes to stand against, you know, pressure and opposition. And certainly, I mean, yeah, I was able to do that. But I felt it was unnecessary. And there was a lot of politics, and I think I've shared it with them before. That's where I got my introduction to the LGBT agenda in the church and in the seminary. And it was very, very sad because that's where I saw a lot of problems. And it was like, you know, this doesn't have to be this way. But it was, and it's just that's my experience. And I felt that 90% of it, all the bad feelings and the bad attitudes and the, you know, hard feelings that people had, you know, we had this kind of like this war the first year between, you know, quote unquote straight guys and the gay guys. I honestly thought that people were punking me out, you know, they were just trolling me. Because I'm thinking, well, gay guys wouldn't want to be priests, you know. And then I found out that no, they were legitimate. They were, you know, and they were, you know, they were out loud and proud and all that stuff. And it was like, oh my gosh, you know. And that doesn't mean that I, you know, hated those guys. I mean, some were probably my closest friends. There was just a lot of problems. They thought that they thought that they had the corner on sexual problems and relationship problems. I mean, I had these guys that would come out to me and they would tell me, oh, you're a great listener, and you know, but I'm afraid to tell people, you know, who I am, and I have all these problems. And I said, hey, I'm sorry, but you have a wrong perception of reality, my friend. I said, you think that heterosexual people have it easy? I said, I've gone through everything that you've talked about as far as relationships and, you know, the whole sex thing as a straight guy. I mean, it's you know, it's not like you guys had this you know like you were this. Again, it was just like I had to take a couple of these guys under my wing and just say, look, you know, you're looking at it from one perspective, and you need to realize that it's a bigger picture. You know, we all struggle with this stuff, one way or another. But they kind of felt that they were unique, and that's where I think kind of the problem was for a lot of us, is that they were struggling to be themselves, and oh, I'm this and I'm that, and I mean, we even had a rector's conference one night, and I guess it was right after, I think it was the second year we came back, and we were still having the infighting between the straights and the gays and everything. And I guess our rector had pretty much, he was up to here with it. It's like, I'm tired of this stuff. He literally said, you guys, you got to knock this off. This is a seminary. You know, it's not a hothouse for gays or straights. You know, we're here to study to be priests. And some of you guys got these issues. And he goes, I appreciate and I feel for you, but this is not what you're here for. If you don't know who you are and you haven't accepted yourself for who you are, you probably need to leave. You really do. So the assignment was, after that rector's conference, was, okay, you get with one of your closest friends here in seminary and you tell them who you are. And so I remember going out with this friend of mine from Idaho, and we just kind of, I hate to say it, we kind of laughed it off because it was like, it wasn't an issue for us. It wasn't a big deal. It's like, hey, more important things in life. I know some people that might be on the other side of this issue might say, well, you're insensitive, you jerk. Well, every human being probably goes through, these types of issues, in life. So basically you learn to just go, okay, you get over it and you get on with living. It's like, that's one of the things you look at the LGBT, and I'm sorry if some of you are on that side, but it's always this narcissistic, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. No, not everybody. I'm not saying everybody's like that. But the people that I've met, for the most part, and the people I see on Twitter or TikTok or whatever, that's all it's about. It's about me talking about my feelings and blah, 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 blah. It's like, gosh, there's more to life than your pronouns and your identity and all this stuff. It's just, I don't know, So do I regret going to seminary? Well, I guess, okay, do I regret going to seminary and regret being a priest are two different things. Okay, just remember that, okay? I regret going to the seminary that I went to because I think a lot of it was all artificially manufactured. People were more focused on things that had no part of becoming a formed priest, had nothing to do with that. I'm not saying that, again, a lot of this stuff, I will say this, a lot of this psychosexual stuff, you were supposed to have already dealt with it years before you even, crossed the threshold. And now, it's funny talking about it kind of brings up a point. I think the reason why it was so uncomfortable, now that I think about it, and this is 30 years afterwards, is because it was like reliving adolescence unnecessarily. It's like, when you go through adolescence and you go through all those awkward times and stuff, you go through it, you get through it, and but then you grow up. You just grow up. And I think, now that I think about it, this is the first time, a little epiphany here, why it was so doggone awkward. And it just hit me. It's like I was forced to go back into adolescence. Not my own per se, but with other people that were pretty broken people. And now I see that. That's why it's like, it would be like going into the Marine Corps boot camp and having to deal with, 70% of the guys that didn't know how to tie their shoes or didn't know how to tell time. They didn't know basic life stuff. In other words, you're kind of supposed to get some of those things out of the way. And again, I know some people right here goes, well, you're so insensitive. You don't understand. Well, maybe I don't, but I think I do. Okay. And I just think that a lot of those issues should have been dealt with. In fact, the teachings of the church are very clear that, and maybe that's why, you're not really supposed to admit practicing homosexuals, gay guys, into the seminary. Be like a guy, like me, saying, well, I'm going to study the priesthood, but I'd like to go out on Friday nights and date, No. That was something you were supposed to do before you got to the seminary. Those days are over, pal. You've made a decision now to do this lifestyle, and this lifestyle precludes now dating on Friday nights. Well, I'm not really going to get married. I'm just dating. Well, no, you can't do that as a seminarian. And a lot of these guys were, now I think about it, and it's like it was right there in my nose of my face. My big old Tommy Lee Jones nose in my face. That's what it was. It was these guys who were dealing with their sexuality, and it was all awkward, messy, and to be honest with you, for adults, it was unnecessary. It'd be like, I know this is going to really get some of you, it'd be like trying to potty train a 31-year-old. It's like, okay, let's go into the potty, and let's do potty now, and you expect that a grown-up person doesn't need that kind of supervision and training. You don't need to deal with those issues. Those are things that happened long ago. And that's the way it was. And I guess that's why it was so awful and messy. Emotionally, it was just so totally, it was a waste of time, and it was a waste of effort. It was a waste of, because every single, week we were dealing with some fallout, and then In addition to that, yes, there were the lover quarrels between some of these guys. And it was like, man, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? So do I regret seminary? I'm going to be honest and say, yeah, I regret seminary. Now, I used to hate, literally hate my seminary experience. Hated my seminary. Just hated it. Even to this day, I mean, I've been back there, I think, twice, because I had to for a couple of seminars. And it's just a very awkward experience going back there, you know? Because in many ways, it was kind of a very abusive place. I mean, I tried to make it the best I could, and I think I survived. I definitely survived. But it was again, I don't hate some of the experiences and some of the people that I met, no. But the underlying agenda, the underlying LGBT agenda, that I just think it was unnecessary, and it was tragic. It could have been a whole lot. It could have been a whole lot better experience for everybody if we weren't focusing on all those petty things. You know, it was just unnecessary. But post seminary, you know, did I learn anything? You know, Matthew, going back to Matthew O'Brien in film school, you know, he had some positive things to say that he learned in film school. So, did I learn anything of value going through seminary? You know, and yes, there were some personal experiences and personal things that I had to go through that did help me later in life. But they were painful. I had to go through my own personal trials and tribulations as well, not just the dealing with my gay friends there, but there were personal things that I had to go through, and I think even in the midst of that very dysfunctional system, there were some moments of grace. Yeah. And right now, what I'm seeing more and more is that a lot of the same attitudes and beliefs that were prevalent in the seminary, which I thought, well, these guys are mostly very radical liberals, and the church is still kind of a balanced thing. It's still, you know, okay, there are some progressives and modernists, sad to say, but there's also lots of good traditional and Orthodox priests and Catholics out there. But right now, a lot of these same people that I went to seminary with literally are now becoming cardinals. Absolutely. One of the guys that taught in my seminary is becoming a cardinal in a couple of weeks, I guess, maybe a week or so. He taught canon law. He was kind of a very, I don't know how the guy became a bishop, let alone now a cardinal, but boy, he's not talking about being on a fast track. But these guys it's their last hurrah. You know, many of them are looking at eternity. They're older than I am. I mean, I'm old, and a lot of these guys are even 20 years older than I am. And their time is very, very limited, and they're just trying to radically change the church. And it's painful. It's a lot like going through what we're going through right now. Maybe, and this is maybe the reason why I'm making this video, is just to kind of see this. A lot of the same angst and grief and upset that I went through in seminary. It's like, well, going through it now in the real church. You know, this is happening, and again, these people are trying to overrun the church and take it over. I don't think they'll be successful in the long run. I think they'll fail. But right now, there's a lot of good Catholics that are scratching their head and saying, I can't believe the church is going this direction. I can't believe the Pope is advocating for these changes. You know, it's just like, what is going on here? You know, it's like, it's literally like, you know, you thought you were, you know, you voted in somebody that was a good person, and they take off the mask and they're Stalin, you know, they're Lenin. You know, it's like they're taking this country down the road of communism. Oh, by the way, that's a reality, by the way. And you wake up and you go, how did this happen? You know, and it's like a Bolshevik revolution, and it's like a Bolshevik revolution in the church, and it's very unsettling. very upsetting for a lot of us. But you get through it. I guess maybe that's the importance of the looking back on the seminary experience. Even though I regret a lot of the things that happened in seminary, the experience was necessary. I think it was Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and again, I don't have the right quote. I'll go ahead and maybe bring this to a close with this. But he actually kind of later in life was grateful. Maybe grateful might be too strong, but he looked upon being in the gulag as he was able to derive a positive experience looking back on that. He said it taught him things, necessary things about life. Yeah, it was painful. It was evil, ugly, painful, deprivation and sadness and sickness and pain and suffering. But he said he was able to derive some positive things from that later in life. So, yeah, I would have to say that although I regret many of the things that happened in seminary, it was probably one of those things that maybe prepared you for other things in life that also are difficult and hard. Okay, well, I hope you got something out of this new microphone. It's Mr. Microphone. Remember those TV shows, Ronco or K-Tel, Mr. Microphone. Anyway, so thank you for humoring me tonight, and I appreciate you watching. And I'm gonna try to get this uploaded, and I will see you really soon on the next one. So thank you so much. And as I am so fond of saying, light up your world, light up your pipe. We'll see you next time.